Okay, hi guys, I'm TheBearPanda, and today is the stream is, or wherever you're watching this or listening to this, is the first episode of the Bear Panda podcast. It's my new podcast kind of thing where I talk about bears for hours and hours on end, or mostly about 20 to a half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour. That's about as long as I can talk about bears without killing myself. Well, alone, that is. I can talk about bears forever with people. Because it annoys them a lot of the time. Or they also like talking about bears, and we just bounce off each other. It's really good. Okie dokie, I'm going to continue from last time when we were talking about the bears and the rise of the bears. Well, not really the rise of the bears, more of the demise of the bears really in the last 60, 70 years after, the bear space programs failed. Not because they ran out of, like space fuel and shit, it's just because they don't really need to run away from the Earth anymore, so they don't put a large amount of funding, time or effort or anything into their into the whole space program. They just don't care anymore because they don't need to escape the Earth. I mean, I wouldn't either. If I was a bear and I was running away from the Earth, a spaceship would be my first idea in my head. That would be the first thing. But if we don't need to run away from the Earth anymore, spaceship just goes out the window because I don't need to run away from the Earth. There's no point. Then my first thought is a boat, because then you can just sail around in the ocean and have fun. And you don't really need as much fuel as you would in a plane, because in a plane you'd run out of fuel really quickly, because a plane can only stay up for 15 hours or 20 hours, somewhere there for a maximum. And that's huge Russian planes that've got massive fuel tanks. Oh god, Russia has big planes. It's mostly because of the bears after World War II ended. A lot of Russian people went back to their jobs in the countryside, and the Russian aerospace industry needed the bears to keep the industry alive. Without that, the Russians wouldn't really have any, planes now. They would have run out. I'm not even gonna lie. They would have run out of planes because if it hadn't been for the bears. It's one of the biggest reasons that Russia stayed tough in the Cold War against America and the other bear nations. Well, the main bear nation led by Hiroshima, something like that. I don't really remember how to say it too well. I mean, the penguins had a similar problem because all their queens are called Hirikiri, as all bear kings are called Hiroshima. And neither of those nations has any maths or numbers or anything, so it's Hiroshima the first and Hirikiri the 28th would both be called Hirikiri and Hiroshima, not respectively. Be called Hiroshima and Hirikiri respectively, wouldn't they? Yeah, didn't really make any sense. And it has led to a lot of tension between the bear peoples and the penguin peoples, because the 8th penguin high queen, Hirikiri, was a porn star and an alcoholic before she became the queen, and a lot of the bears have called Hirikiri a porn star and a queen, a porn star and other insults like that to Hirikiri, the high queen. But the penguins, they didn't know that. They thought they were insulting Hirikiri the 28th, who was actually a saint of the penguin religion. It's a bit confusing, really, that whole thing. Almost led to the third penguin bear nuclear war. Luckily it didn't, because a translator from the beavers managed to step in and stop all the wars and shit. If it hadn't been for that, Antarctica and Canada and of course Wales would probably have been destroyed by now. I mean, I think Wales being nuked to bits would concern me a little bit, because I live kind of close to Wales. I only live 30, 40 miles away from Wales, so I might die to nuclear fallout if that happens. That'd be quite depressing, wouldn't it, getting nuked by a bear? Actually, it wouldn't be the bears that nuke whales, because the bears are the ones that control whales. Because whales literally translate as land of the sea bears. Because whales used to be called sea bears, but scientists renamed them because they wanted their own name. They thought that there's such a big difference between most forms of land bear and, of course, the sea bear slash whale that it didn't really make sense for them to have the same name anymore, even though technically they did evolve from the same ancestor. It'd be like calling a monkey and a gorilla like completely different animals. I mean, they are kind of different, but you know, they're still kind of similar. Like, I don't even know. I mean, the logic that went into that was just horrific. I mean, who would? I mean, it's not like the whales are like regular creatures, like birds and pigeons, which are another kind of bird, pigeons and all that kind of bollocks. No, they're like sentient life forms. They understand language. They can talk to people. Well, mostly bears, land bears and other sea bears, but it's more than most animals can do. Like a little squirrel, that's got nothing on a sea bear slash whale. It's a bit annoying, really, isn't it? I mean, of course, the greatest form of lion, other than the great lions and the sea bears, is the cat bear. And the cat bear was formed many years ago when a tiger, a lion, and a cheetah walked into a bar that was run by a bear, and the bear barmaid asked why the long face. No idea why. She was drunk, I think. And the lion said, "That's a shit joke, mate." And they both laughed at it. The other guys laughed at it. They had a good time, and then the four of them went home together. And the great cat bear was formed that day, the first of all cat bears. A couple of months later, similar situation happened in another part of the bear nation. It's the same barmaid, I think. And then they had another hybrid kind of thing. He was also a cat bear. For some reason, they were both fertile, so they could actually have children with each other. That was kind of nice because that led a whole new species of bears and to some degree cats to take off. Hadn't been for them, the bear cat would not exist. And their contributions to the war effort against the penguins would not have been a thing at all. So the penguins probably would have taken Canadian regions that have been held by the bears for tens of thousands of years. It's a bit strange when you think about it. Bears are just like roaming around, sorry about that, just roaming around the streets of every major city in the world. I mean, they don't really own much of the world anymore after, you know, the 40s and the fire bombings against their cities by Americans and Japs. It's a bit depressing, that, really. They've just not recovered in like terms of population. I mean, Hitler, as I think I've said previously on this podcast, hated Jews and bears, and he tried to wipe them out. I mean, the bears tried to seek refuge in places like Britain and Russia. The Russians and the British gave them jobs in aerospace industries because bears can't really do much with their hands because they're huge hands and like paws, and they've got big fingers, and you can't really do much with them. But aerospace, they just took to it. They used their teeth. They used they just did amazing in it. God knows why, but those bears were good at building planes and designing planes. If it weren't for them, because it was a bear philosopher who invented the Spitfire, even though philosopher, it was a bear engineer that invented the Spitfire plane. Even though the Spitfire was designed in like 1936 and not in the 40s. The bears have always been great in aerospace. Just ask the Wright brothers, John the bear and William the human. It wasn't a very good day for them. Turns out a bear walked into a bar in America land, in New York, and said a shit joke to the barmaid, and then they came out. They had twins and one of them was a human, one of them was a bear. People don't ask. It's a bit rude, don't you think, asking about why your child is a bear and why one of your children is a bear and one of them is a human. I mean, I wouldn't want to ask that. That'd be disgusting. Just bears. My God, they're disgusting. To be fair, it is a good survival technique that the bears have. The ability to have sex with anything to create new species. I couldn't do that. I mean, I couldn't fuck a bear, but a bear could fuck me because they know what they're doing. That is really smart if you think about it. Like, they can outlive anything else in the entire universe by just breeding with whatever's the dominant species at the time. One day the bears will rise over humans, but until that day, they're just gonna chill out in like the woods and stuff. It's best for them, really. Yeah, the bears don't really need to do much anymore, really, because of, they've not got much place in the world anymore. I mean, they've not even got a high king anymore. Good old Havokara died like 20 years ago, and he didn't have a son, so bears no longer have a high king. There's been talk of the penguin high queen, Hawikari, taking over both kingdoms, but the bears don't want that because they hate the penguins, and the penguins don't want that because the bears are all like huge and shit, and the penguins are all little and shit, and they don't think it's going to work out well. They think that things put in place by the government are not going to take into account that the fact that half their country is huge bears and that the other half is little penguins. You can get penguins that kind of big though, like a good 6 foot, but you can never going to get a penguin that's as big as a bear. I mean, bears and penguins just aren't meant to breed. If you have a bear and a penguin, and one of them breeds with another penguin, it is a bit weird, isn't it? But to be fair, the bears and the penguins can probably reproduce because the bears will have sex with anything. Like the bears, and they'll make a whole new species of bears and penguins. Bearguins. And those bear penguins are gonna like rule over the world one day by keeping the bear trait of being able to have sex with anything, and of course keeping the penguin trait of living in cold conditions in Antarctica. You'd never know. I mean, those bears and those penguins, they're just going to rule the world. They're going to, like, go away. They're going to be on, like, little boats, going swimming everywhere, just killing things. I'd love to be a bearguin, or bear penguin. Would it be a bearguin, or would it be a penner? I think it depends on whether or not, sorry about that, depends on whether or not it was a daddy bear or a daddy penguin. Pretty sure that's how they, decide whether it's a bearguin or a pen bear. Yeah, yeah, that sounds about right. Yay. A lot of bears. What else could the bears breed with? That's probably where the sea bears came from. Probably a bear fucked a shark and it made a whale. God, that's weird. That's weird. To be fair, that is how the bear cats came. Just thinking about it, every animal that resembles a bear even slightly is because a bear had sex with something else. That actually brings me to my name. As some of you will know, my name is Pedo Bear Panda. It's because one day there was a pedo and a panda, and the pedo was fucking the panda. Panda was a girl, the pedo was also a girl. I'm not sure how it was working out, but they just did it somehow. And then a bear thought, I can have sex with anything. Maybe the pedo was also a bear. Maybe I'm 2/3 bear and like 1/3 panda. But a panda's a bit like a bear anyway. Yeah, and anyway, basically that panda and that yeah, the bear just jumped on both of them and just fucked them like relentlessly. And then the bear. Then about 2 years later, the panda. I mean, because they decided they had like a really good time, and then they had regular meetups every couple of months. So 2 years later, when I was born, well, I'm not gonna. It was a bit of a weird birth, to be honest, because the panda had a baby, and then the pedo had a baby. but they both had like half a baby, and when it was like half human, half bear, like both babies. Well, one of them was half human, half bear, and one of them was half bear, half panda. And then they sort of just like cut them up in bits, and they just ended up with me, which is like mostly I look like a human, but I've got the panda ability to sleep and the bear ability to have sex with anything. And that sort of contradicts what I said before about me not being able to have sex with anything because I'm not a bear, but whatever, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Sorry about that. I keep hitting the mic when I'm going to itch my face, so I'll move it a little bit away from my eye. Hope that's better. It's a bit weird, the whole bear situation, really. I mean, never before in the history of the universe has one race, such as the humans, dominated a planet, and then the second race, the bear, the indigenous bear, just dominated the world. Maybe, just maybe, I might be crazy about this, but what if humans are part bear and we're descended from bears? Sorry about that. And a bear and a monkey one day. The bear walked into a little bar. There was a monkey barmaid behind the bar thing. And then, just had sex repeatedly. I mean, to be fair, I don't think monkeys had bars, so maybe it was like in a forest. This is interesting. Maybe. God knows where humans came from. If it wasn't bears and monkeys, I have no idea. Because that's like the only logical explanation for me. I mean, at least the bear part, because humans have the bear trait of not being able to use their hands properly. But they also have the monkey trait of being able to use their hands properly, so they just like turn into like a plain thing. Now, they both got like the dominant, because both those things were dominant in the gene code, so they got both traits. That's why your right hand or your left hand, that's why everyone has one really good hand that they can use anything. They got that from the monkeys, and then the other hand, the shit hand, they got from the bears. And that's why you have one really good hand and one like really shit hand. If you're like the kind of person that can use both the hands really well, it's because one of your parents had sex with a monkey, and is now you're descended from monkeys. So there's more monkey than bear inside your system, which could be a good thing. I mean, I'd be slightly offended if I knew I was all bear. I mean, you don't really want to be like 100% bear, do you? You'd rather be a monkey than a bear. Especially after the bear's been persecuted so many times throughout history. Such as Hitler, he persecuted the bears very recently in the 80s on a submarine in the Indian Ocean. In the 1400s, that English king, the twat, Richard, I think his name was, he bullied the bears, he forced them all the way to Wales. In 1066, the Norman invasion from Normandy in England, he drove the bears out into Wales. I mean, before the 1500s, all bears were in like the eastern world, really, until Christopher Columbus, as we all know, is 80% bear. He brought lots of his extended family onto that ship of his. He brought like his entire extended family onto the ship with him, and most of them were human, but quite a few of them were bears as well. And then the bears just stayed there. They just like went into the wild. They like experimented with everything. They just like walked all around like the entire Americas, and that's why bears are dominant in Canada today. They just bred like fucking bears. I swear to God, it's worse than rabbits. People use like bred like rabbits as a thing. No, it's bred like bears. Jesus Christ, they breed a lot. I've never seen anything breed more than a bear. Like, seriously. I mean, they can fuck anything, but goddamn, they love bears. They'll fuck a bear like 8 times in a row. It's so strange. They can get like pregnant again during their gestation period. Actually, so they can start off with one baby bear inside the tummy, and then they can end up with like 12, not 13, 12 is like the maximum. So you always get like, Deck is 10. Well, it's Docker, like Docker hydroplets. That's like 18, I think, but Docker, it'd be Dockuplets or something. Because of course, you never need more than that with the bears. They just fucking fuck. Just gonna have a little drink here. I mean, of course, the greatest example in all of history for persecution of the bears was, of course, the Crusades in the 1100s. I mean, not many people know this, but the Muslim religion started out as bears wanting their own religion. Because in the Middle East, and like whenever Islam was founded, there were the Christians, the Jews, and the bears. And the bears decided they didn't want to be Christian anymore, or Jewish anymore, because the founders of those religions were human, and they wanted bears. They wanted a bear religion for the bears, and they started Islam, basically. And disguised the fact that they were bears, he decided to put on burqas. That's why, you can never see. That's why, if you go to the Middle East, you see loads of people in burqas. That's too many to be just women. It's only logical that the vast majority of them are actually bears. I mean, of course, they did get some women to dress up in burqas as well, just in case anyone checked. Because they wanted to hide from the bears. They wanted to hide from persecution from the thingamabobs. The Christians and the Jews, of course. I mean, a lot of humans did join the Islamic bears. Became bears, became Islamic humans, and the bears are cool with that because, it was humans worshipping their religion. It wasn't humans forcing the bears to worship a human religion. So they didn't really care. It was kind of good. It was good for everyone. Everyone was having a good time. Everyone was just chilling out. And then the Crusades happened. The Christians and the Jews, well, most of the Christians, were sick and tired of those filthy Islamic bears ruling the Middle East. So they launched like a massive invasion of the Middle East. They took like Jerusalem, like kept on swapping it. They kept on trying to convert Beretian monasteries into mosques. Berishi mosques into cathedrals and churches, and vice versa. It's a big war. Lasted several hundred years. The bears, to this day, have not lived it down. They refuse to become Christian or Jewish to this day. Almost every bear is a Muslim. There are a couple of bears that aren't Muslims, though. There's Hindu bears, and there's Buddhist bears, there's Sikh bears, and there's Mormon bears, and there's Jedi bears. You do not want to fight a Jedi bear. I mean, a regular bear is tough enough, but a bear that has the Force is brutal. You're never going to fight a bear with the Force. They just they pick you up with the Force and they bring you there, and then they sort of hit you with their really shit hands that are more paw, scratch at you for a bit. Oh shit, sorry. They scratch at you for a bit, and just smack you down, just fist you a little bit. That's what it's called when you punch someone. That's about it for this podcast, guys. Sorry, it's only, I think it's about 23 minutes this time. I think I got rid of the issue with background music during the last one. I'm pretty sure it won't be on this one.